G'day guys, Jack's Millan, the Wealth Mentor here. Hope you're doing well. We are up pretty early this morning. We caught a very nice sunrise with some beautiful mountains in the background. So it's not a bad place in the world to be. So guys, I wanted to talk around a question that I get very often from entrepreneurs around whether they should be chasing investments that provide them with capital growth or provide them with passive income. This is a really interesting question. It ultimately depends on what life stage you're at in your business and in your life. So I'm going to run you through the pros and cons of each and hopefully help you give you some tools that are going to help you decide on what investments you should be chasing at this stage of your journey. So let's talk around the fundamentals of investing and ultimately what is capital growth and what is passive income. So capital growth is defined by the asset value of a particular investment increasing over time. So for example, let's say we buy an investment property for $500,000 and then over the course of 10 years that property goes to $1 million in value. That is capital growth. And the great thing about capital growth is that you actually don't pay any taxes on it until such a time as you dispose of that asset. So basically, all of that $500,000 in that example is a paper gain and ultimately means that you can continue to carry that forward, or even better yet, you can go to a lender. You can borrow against that asset, you can take cash out, which doesn't trigger any tax either, and then you can use that equity to then continue to build a larger portfolio. It's a really great way of how many people have been able to build substantial property portfolios and paying very little tax along the way. On the flip side, we've got passive income, and passive income is a yield that is derived as a result of holding an asset. So if you hold shares or you hold a property and those shares pay you a dividend or that property pays you rent, then that is a passive income. Now, what you need to consider is that the gross income that you receive is not necessarily the actual income that you receive, because depending on the asset itself, there are expenses associated with earning that income. When it comes to shares, it's pretty straightforward. You probably don't have to pay anything associated with holding those shares. And that's the great thing about trading the share market. You will receive a dividend as long as that business is profitable and as long as that business's board believes that it's in the business's best interests to continue to pay out dividends. We did see in the global financial crisis and through the COVID situation that many dividend-paying companies did cut their dividends or stop their dividends because they were trying to reserve cash for the unforeseen. On the flip side, we've got property. Property can be expensive. We've got agents' fees, somebody who's going to be managing your property. We've got strata if you've got an apartment or a townhouse. We've got council rates. We've got other associated costs and maintenance associated with that property. So you might have a $500,000 property that's paying you $500 a week, but you might also have about $100 to $150 a week in expenses. So that can have a massive impact on your net yield of that property. So this brings us to the point. Well, should I be chasing capital growth or should I be chasing passive income? And this ultimately depends on what your plan is to do with your active income, the income that you earn from your business. So if it is your intention to continue to earn an active income well into the future, that will allow you to meet the lifestyle that you want and be able to achieve all of your goals, then capital growth might be the way to go, because it's a more tax-effective way for us to build our portfolio for the future. Depending on where you are in the world, there's different rules around capital gains tax. However, in most countries, capital gains tax is a far more lucrative tax structure than income tax. It gives you a lot more flexibility and there is typically discounts at play. And for that reason, we can also get cash out from lenders that allow us to snowball our portfolio. So it's the chosen method for many entrepreneurs. However, passive income can still be important. Passive income can be fantastic depending on the costs associated with actually producing that passive income. So if you're at a stage in your business where you do want to diversify your income streams, you'd like to have more freedom of choice around how you spend your time, then passive income may be the way to go. The important thing is that capital growth compounds, whereas passive income rarely does. If the asset value itself is not increasing on your income producing asset, then it means that the yield is probably not going to be dragged up. So let's give you an example. Let's say that you've got $1 million property that pays you a yield of 5%, so $50,000 a year. And you've got a $500,000 property that pays you a yield of 3%, but it compounds at 10% per year. There's going to come a point in time where the growth asset, even though it's a lower asset value, will actually overtake the income producing asset and then will eventually pay more passive income. It will depend on the breakdown between the capital growth and passive income, but there's going to come a point in time where that actually becomes the better asset. So it really depends on your time frames, the individual asset, and what's going to fit best into your overall strategy. So this is a lot of information. And you might be thinking, well, okay, I've got some good info. What do I do? Well, you need a roadmap, because we should be choosing the investments not based on knee-jerk, what we feel thinks good, what we think is good. This is about what is actually going to allow us to execute on our roadmap. So what we do for our clients is we help them design a 20-year financial roadmap that allows them to achieve what they define as financial freedom, ultimately paying off their debts, creating passive income, and then working towards having the freedom and flexibility that they want. And this allows them to choose the right investments at the right time that are going to get them the right result. So if you want help putting together that roadmap, feel free to hit me up in the DMs. Love to have a chat. I'm going to go finish my coffee. I'll chat to you guys soon.